Hi, and welcome back to the second hour of Focal Point on AFR Talk. My name is Brian Fisher. The program is Focal Point. The network is AFR Talk, the American Family Radio Talk Network. And again, we've been mentioning the fact we've got our Share-a-thon coming up, and we always have a use for Share-a-thon phone volunteers. So twice a year, 3 days in the fall, 3 days in the spring, we set aside 3 days to ask our listening audience, to ask you and our listening audience to partner with us to keep this voice on the air. We call it Share-a-thon. Our spring Share-a-thon coming up this year, April 16 to 18. We're going to have people calling from all over the country to make their pledges, to donate, to help keep the ministry and the voice of AFR strong and going. We need volunteers to answer the phones. Love to have you come here to Tupelo and be a phone volunteer. It's great for us, those that are located here. We have an opportunity to mingle with the volunteers and meet some of the people that listen to us, maybe that we've even talked to on the phone when they've called in the programs, an opportunity for us to meet them. So we love having all of you around. You can pick the shift that's the most convenient for you. You can give 2 hours on one day. You can stay all 3 days. It's up to you. We've got people coming from as far away as Kansas. Some come from right here in our own town. So I have an opportunity, if AFR has impacted you in some way and you would like to use this opportunity to give something back, you can call Deanna at 800-326-4543, extension 204. That's 800-326-4543, extension 204. Or you can sign up at afr.net, afr.net. Let's see. Let's go and pick up a phone call. We've had Lee from Willis, Texas, has been waiting patiently. Lee, thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Thank you, Brian, for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I think CPAC sent out a real message. You know, when they took the poll for who was going to win this election, or part of the direction of who to vote for or who to support, Rand Paul was 25 and Marco Rubio was 23%.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting, because it's almost like the Republicans are trying to reach out again to someone outside the realm of what we call the Republican Party to mesh in or dilute it with the libertarian type. And I don't have a problem with that as long as they maintain the same core values that they supposedly purport to have. My concern is that they're going to sway to the Democratic Party. If they do that, we're done. You know, I have one thing to say to Republicans. You can win now or really lose later.
Yeah.
I don't care if you lose an election, as long as you win your values, you're going to win in the long run. Otherwise, you're going to lose. And we're going to lose as a people. I hope and pray that doesn't happen.
Yeah, well, Leah, and I appreciate your call here and your observation. I want to pick your brain just a little bit. When you look at Rand Paul and you look at Marco Rubio, now these guys have kind of lit up CPAC. They Marco Rubio hit with a big splash, a very winsome guy. Rand Paul did the filibuster thing, became a national hero. What do you make of the fact? I mean, do you have any reservations about where Rand Paul stands on the values issues or Marco Rubio?
Well, I do about Rand Paul. I don't want to go the libertarian route, because it says that whatever is okay with you is okay with you. That's wrong. It's almost absence of any type of moral values. I don't think he would go that far, but I think because he's libertarian, I think there's a possibility we could go in that direction. As far as Marco Rubio is concerned, I was very impressed with him at first. But then I saw him wane as well, and he's waning now.
Now, what do you see him wavering on now?
Immigration.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's a concern I've got. You know, because Marco Rubio originally was pretty solid on immigration, and then once people, once people started talking to him and about him as a potential presidential candidate, he seemed to feel like he had to kind of go in the tank on immigration for some reason.
Well, when you start watering down your values, you become nothing more than a valueless person.
Yeah. Well, you know, and it's interesting. You think about this, you know, when you were talking, Lee, it was reminding me of that verse in the book of Judges. Well, it actually occurs several times. In those days, there was no king in Israel, and every man did what was right in his own eyes. That's libertarianism. I mean, that is libertarianism. So libertarianism is not a new philosophy. It didn't start with Ayn Rand. It didn't start with Ron Paul. Didn't start with Rand Paul. It goes all the way back to the book of Judges. Each man, every man did what was right in his own eyes. Now, this is what's slippery because Rand Paul, you're right about Rand Paul. I think personally his values are impeccable. He's got character. He's got integrity. I think his personal character, from everything I can tell, is absolutely beyond reproach. But Rand Paul would say, hey, that's what's right in my eyes. That may not be what's right in your eyes. And who am I to judge? Who am I to pass judgment on moral decisions that you might make? And that's the dangerous part. So Rand Paul, could say, look, what's right in my eyes is to be faithful to my wife, to be an involved father to my kids, to work hard for my constituents. That's what's right in my eyes. But if what's right in your eyes is go out and cat around and sleep with multiple women and break up your family and abandon your kids, well, hey, just whatever floats your boat. I mean, I'm not even saying that Rand Paul would say that, but it's sort of the logical outcome of the worldview that he's adopted about libertarian values. He just wants the government to back out of these value judgments virtually altogether. So anyway, that's a concern I've got with Rand Paul, and what he said today on immigration didn't do anything to, alleviate my concerns, Lee. So, and these guys are running 1 and 2 right now, out of CPAC.
I like Ryan.
Yeah. Well, and Ryan's, I saw a poll today that Ryan's popularity is taking a pretty big hit. His positive approval is down to about 15%. So since they flamed out in November, I mean, his popularity, his favorables just seem to have fallen right off the table. So he'll have to do a little bit of rehabilitation, I think, to get back in the game. But I like Paul Ryan myself.
I mean, I think he's got good values, and I think he'll stick to it, and I think he'll help us with this economic problem if given the chance, because I like his planned budget.
Yeah. All right, Lee, listen, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you for the call. Let's grab clip number 6, Rob. This is Rand Paul. I better set this up. We're not going to not have time to. But this is Rand Paul was on Sean Hannity. I'll just set this soundbite up for the break, and then we'll lead off the next segment with it, where Sean Hannity asks Rand Paul, look, do you identify yourself more as a libertarian or as a conservative? And Sean says, look, I'm a registered conservative in New York. A conservative is a party in New York. You have Republicans, Democrats, and conservatives. They have 3 parties in New York. And Sean Hannity says, I classify myself as a Reagan conservative. How do you classify yourself? Do you classify yourself as a libertarian? Do you think that's fair? Do you embrace it? What do you mean? And we'll listen to Rand Paul's answer when we get back. Focal Point, AFR Talk. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these brief messages.